Awesome, awesome, awesome. So here we are. Let's make sure I get the transition done this time. All right, cool. And we're recording and we're live. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Neon Podcast. Episode 31. We did it, guys. We're past 30. Woo. A month and a half full of podcasts in 1 year. Oh my god. How have times have changed. Right, guy?
What
Right,
year?
Camp? God
Yeah,
damn
what
it.
year do we start again?
Dude, 2017. Would you imagine?
Oh, dude, right out of college.
I know. I was looking at the podcast I was uploading like last week, right? And I was like, when was the last time I uploaded a podcast? And it was 2 years ago. I'm like, holy crap! Or
Did
like
you ever
a
did you ever
beginning
catch
of
up?
last year. Sorry. What happened?
Did you ever catch up?
Almost. I'll try and catch up tonight. So
Oh,
yeah. I'll try and catch up tonight. Yo, what up, Daniel? Appreciate you always tuning in to the beginning of the stream, man. Hope you're doing well. Um, so funny story. You guys know that the coffin dance meme and the song?
oh yeah.
Dude, that shit has been blowing up all over all my feeds, dude. Like covers, memes everywhere on my social media. I mean, like I know I have a lot of memes and stuff on my feed and normally, but I'm like, have you guys been seeing that on your stuff a lot?
Yeah, good amount. Or are you talking about just that one in particular, or
Yeah, like just everything related to that, dude. I'm just like, wow. Everyone's
I've
doing
seen
the
I've
co
seen a lot of them with regarding what's that the guy from North Korea?
Oh no,
Yeah,
Kim
I've
Jong-un.
seen I've seen a lot of that.
Oh my god.
Uh,
All right, well, that was I don't know. That was just my random update on my social media. Is just a bunch of that.
it's a,
Anyways,
it's a sign, dude.
oh, I mean, what a time for that meme to be a sign, dude. With all that music,
uh, for everyone.
everyone, dude. That's a sign for everybody. Anyways, um, we got some guests on here per usual. It's no surprise since I always have guest pictures on the podcast. Um, we have Kemp, obviously co-host. Pretty much, he's here almost like 80% of the time. Up, Kemp.
What's up?
There you go. That's it. That's all. That's all you need to say, man.
Thanks.
Yeah. We have returning podcast guest John. Is this your second or third? You've been on the podcast.
Second. It's the
Second.
second one. Yeah.
And the first one was the Valentine's Day one a couple months ago, 2 months ago.
Yeah, with the boys.
Oh, and we're gonna be bringing them back on next
Oh,
week,
no,
but
that was
surprise.
fun.
There you go. That's probably next week's episode. And then now we have a new podcast guest, Trisha. Trisha, how you doing?
Hi. Good, thanks for having me.
Cool, man. I appreciate you being on here. So, yeah, appreciate you all being here, lovely individuals. Like I said, I always gotta call people lovely when they're on my podcast. When we have people that I'm willing to like super hard trash talk, that's when I'll do that rude intro.
Oh, dude, you're not willing to trash talk?
Hmm?
You're not willing to trash talk me? Just trash talk me,
No,
man.
but I gotta do it. Like everyone on the podcast needs the same treat. Well, not the same treatment, because
All right,
I
I'll
will
be
trash
waiting
talk you.
for I'll be waiting for next week with the Orca Boys.
Okay. Um. So yeah, welcome guys, welcome to the podcast. So motivation and discipline. We're just gonna get straight into it, man. I mean, I feel like this is a very deep topic that we can go into. Any one of us, to be honest, and it's such a broad topic because it always varies from person to person. Um, in my opinion, anyways, it's hard for me to encounter people who have the same motivation, same reasons of why they do things. So, I mean, let's just start off on uh, what you guys have for motivation. So basically, I'm obviously, I mean, I've sent you guys the questions before, and I'm sure you guys have an answer. But let me preface this myself because like this is how I see definition of motivation is like motivation is something that makes you want to do something. Um, initially. So what gets you going and what keeps you going is the positive stuff, right? or negative stuff, depending how you see it. Whereas discipline is doing something not because you necessarily want to, but discipline is doing something to keep um, uh, is the work that you do to keep reaching towards your goals and to make progress in your life. So I mean that's how I see motivation versus discipline. You guys can obviously talk about your different definitions and how you view things, but like for you guys, what is your motivation? Like anybody, answer that for me.
Should we decide on orders now so we don't have to deal with any pauses, or how do you want to do this, Neron?
Sure. You know what? Let's go. Let's go. All right. All right. Give me a number. Each of you give me a number between 1 and 20. John, give me your number.
7.
Camp, give me your number.
9.
Trisha, give me your number.
17.
17. Okay, so we're gonna go Kemp, John, and then Trisha. My number was 11. You say yay. So my number was 11. 9's the closest, followed by 7, and then 17. So Kemp, go ahead, man. What is your motivation, my dude?
Motivation. Really pretty small stuff. Like I'm kind of like a goal oriented person. So if I want something, I'm gonna like work towards it, whether it's fast or whatever. Like this year, I wanted to travel a lot this year, but that's not gonna happen. But eventually I'll do it. Like we secure the funds, so all we need to do is have the airlines open again.
So for
Uh,
your goals, would you say it's more like for luxury and just like leisure kind of stuff, or would you say it's
Most,
more so just in general?
yeah, at the moment, usually like it's kind of a general like probably at this time it's gonna be mostly about luxury leisure.
Mm-hmm.
We'll work on that. Um, I mean, I'll do stuff for the long run too, but those are more like like yeah, like for the long term kind of commitments. Like if I see an opportunity, I'll grab at it, but it's not like something that I rush towards.
Got it. Got it. So you take your time, plan it out a little bit. Patience is what I'm hearing from you. Because I
Yep,
was like,
that's
I always did get that vibe from you. Ever since I've known you since high school, it's always been precautionary, but you know what you want, right?
yeah. That was at high school. It was kind of I was actually too cautious and during high school, so I've turned to tone it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right, John. What about you, my man? I know you have a big answer for me ready. I know you do.
I wouldn't say big. I mean, it really depends on the question. Like, it sounded like you had 2 questions. It was like, what is motivation, and what
What
is
is
my
your motivation?
motivation?
Yes. I mean,
So
go
that's
ahead.
pretty big. Uh, I want to say at least. I think you hit the nail on the coffin. Oh,
Coffin meme. Ha.
I think.
I'll move her. I'll move her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, where motivation is, I guess it's not even just the initial boost, it's just a boost in general to morale.
Mhm.
When it comes to achieving what you need to do. That's how I see it. And I think that's kind of how you put it too. It's
Mhm.
just a temporary boost in morale to ensure that you can continue pushing forward. Um, I think my motivation, I have a lot of motivation. There's external motivators, but I think the
Mm.
bigger key, at least for myself, is it's all internal. I I guess due to my upbringing and the things I've gone through in my life, I hold myself to a very high standard.
Mhm.
And I guess that's in a way a big motivator for me, is because I see myself in a like the way I want to see myself is where I want to be. So every time I remind myself that I need to get there, I receive that boost in motivation. But there's also, the external motivators are also a big factor too. They're
Mhm.
very important, just as important. There's like family, friends, you know, that they're big motivators too. But I think the key part for, at least for me, is
Mhm.
just finding it internally.
Okay. So let me ask you this question then. So you said internal versus external motivation. Like I really like that because I never really thought about motivation that way. So where do you where do you draw the line between like internal and external? Because the reason why I bring up that question, because you said you bring it up because internally how your standards are, that was how you were raised, right? But some people like internally keep their like family in super high regard. Like they might not say it like in public or even to their own family, but they'll hold their family to as like a part of themselves. You know what I mean? So I'm like, where do you personally like draw that line between internal and external?
I think internal is when the motivation concerns myself, and it's external when it concerns someone else. Like let's say, for example, I want to do better at my job because I want to provide for my family. Then the
Mm.
motivation's external. But let's say I want to do better at my job because I feel like I'm capable of being a better worker, and that
Mhm.
then it becomes internal.
Ooh, I see, I see. I like that. I like that a lot. You have anything else to add on to that, John?
I don't know, come later.
Sounds good. I guess. All right. So I guess Trisha, you're up. So I mean, if you have any different definitions of motivation, and what is your motivation?
Okay. So this is you're right, this is a very deep topic. Um, well, mine are pretty probably different
Mhm.
because I probably have zero patience. And let's see. For me to think about it in this way, my key motivation in life is my past and my future, I would say. Because
Interesting.
my past, obviously, collectively, my experiences make up who I am and how I think and what I want in the future, whether it's good or bad. So if you've seen something good, you want that for your future to continue. But if you've seen something bad in your past, then that's like your motivation to change your future. And I think that's
Mm.
where I see mine. I always just want to provide a better future for myself, like every single day. Um, but yeah, so I mean, definitions of motivations definitely differ from each person.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of it based on what someone previously said. I think it's just internal for me.
Mhm.
Um, actually, never mind. Sorry. There's also external. Well, it's kind of interconnected because I want to. I mean, my goal in life is to make sure that I lived for something, and
mm.
my life was meant something, right? And always want to, I guess, help people or change the world in some way. And how I thought I would change it has variously like changed just over time. And I'm obviously now in tech, so it has something to do with that now. But yeah, it's just like since I want to help people, I want to quote unquote change the world, externally, and internally because I want to feel like my life mattered.
Mm.
That makes sense.
No, yeah, no, that makes sense. I feel
Okay,
that's
let
definitely
me know if I'm rambling.
no, 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 I mean, that's fine. Like ramble you want. Like I'll interrupt you. But
I
like
Please do.
actually have a question regarding that because I'm starting to see as similar as our answers were, I do see striking differences, right? So I'm kind of intrigued because so like you said your biggest motivator is one, like making a difference, and two, feeling like you mattered. Like
Yeah.
at what defines what defines that statement actually? Like that's what I'm curious. So, at
Oh, the
what
second
point do
statement
you
that you said?
yeah, yeah, where you said like you want to feel like you mattered, but is it like quality that matters to you? Like that you get what I'm saying, or the quantity? Like is it the amount of people you've affected in your life, or is it just as long as you made a difference, even just to a small group of people, or even just internally for yourself that you feel like you mattered and you believe it
Um,
internally, no matter what other people think?
Not the last one, but I guess depending on how many people you help, and I mean, these things are very subjective, right? So obviously, at the end of the day, it comes down to how I felt about it, I guess. It's not really a numbers game, like I have to help a million people by the time that I die. But I want to make sure that I spend every single working day of my life contributing to society and making sure that after I leave this planet, world, or, die, that I have impacted at least one person's life, impacted something within society, something on the planet in some form. Just because I want to live my life in a very, I guess, selfless manner, and that's how I find, um, what do you call that? That's how I find it fulfilling.
That's
Mm.
interesting. I think we're complete opposites in that regard then.
You saying you're trying to be a selfless person?
Yeah, like for example, it's gonna be a really shitty analogy. Oh, can I cuss here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I cuss here all the time.
Um, got it. Because I don't know if this is like
No,
too
go ahead. Go ahead. Go. You're
professional.
good. You're
Okay,
good.
um, like a lot of people, and which is totally fine because we're all different in many ways. A lot of people, if they have a good job that pays really well, gets a big house, have a fam, or can support your family, etc., then that means that's their motivation in life is to achieve that, and just like moving up the ladders within a company or
Mhm.
making money off of this. Um, that's like a motivation, right? And you're like, you can say that you've had a fulfilled life if you've had that.
Mhm.
But for me, it was never really enough. I guess like for context, like I've worked at big companies such as like Google and Facebook and Uber, and obviously those companies, they're good salary, whatever. But every single day that I went to work, even though I had all this like benefits and a good salary, just basically anything you can think of that freaking companies provide for you. I wasn't happy and I wasn't fulfilled, and I didn't have motivation to go to work every day, even though everything was great. Um, and so I felt like I wasn't doing anything about it. And I've always wanted to do something of my own that could help a lot of people. And so I did. And I kind of like, um, got rid of all those good things that tech people are spoiled with, and I gave it all up just to like not pay myself for however many months and starve. But at least I was building something that can help people. Yeah, so that's my thing.
I
Nice.
just think it's interesting to me because it sounds like the way you approach, I guess, reaching your goals are externally related. I guess like you work your motivation, like the end goal is just to benefit the people around you in your world, and as a consequence of that, you then become better yourself. Whereas I think for
Yeah.
me, it's the opposite, where I believe I my primary goal is to become the best I can be and to better myself. And as a consequence of that, if I begin to impact others and affect the world around me, then
Mm.
that's so be it. I just think that's so interesting that we have completely different methodologies, but it ends up with the same result.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's why it's also just interesting like hearing both of your stories because like I've known both of you guys or all three of you especially for like multiple years, and it's not like I've definitely talked to you guys about like your motivation, what pushes you guys like before, but not to this like kind of level, and it's just so interesting because like the more I think about it and like how you guys have like grown and changed in the past ever since like I've known you basically, I can I can see where your own like your own methodology like John said or even just your own mindset and work ethic style just like it pushes you to like I can relate it to how to where you guys are today, and it's so interesting because it's like this makes me think about like my other friends or like family or just people in general and like celebrities or icons, and it's just not everyone obviously is gonna know your story. Um, Only you know your own story, and preferably, you wouldn't want anyone else to write your own story. So I mean, in that sense, it's interesting to hear these mindsets come directly from you guys. It's so fun yet intriguing because it's like, where did this like all start for you guys? It's like, because Trista, you said yours was in the past, but like for you anyways, and but like as a question for all three of you, like we can go in the same order, but where where did these motivations, when and where, you can answer however that you want, did these motivations come from? Where did they come from? When did they start? So, I mean,
I believe Nero, you went first on the last question also, so I think you gotta answer your own question.
okay, okay. So,
Nice.
you try to make me go first. You try to stick to an order, my dude. I see you. But I mean, if you guys have questions or want to interject, feel free. Um, but for me, I think, I was always externally motivated. I always wanted to get like someone's approval, like, specifically my family. I didn't want to make them be disappointed in my schoolwork. I finished college and I got a job, just to support my family. But only until, I would say recently, until after college, is where I became, um, or in small hobbies, is where I became more. I like the term that you guys use, internally motivated, where it's like I want to be better. It's like, where I wanted to get more fit and lose weight. So be- because I wanted to feel better about myself, I wanted to look good. I wanted to get better at the things I did, my hobbies, video games or sports. So I would practice and practice so I could prove to myself that I could be better at the things that I enjoy, or like racing, whether that was like go-karting or like actual taking a car to a track day, or driving style, stuff like that. It's just like small improvements that I wanted to prove to myself was only recently after college. Because up until college, it's like, why am I doing the things that I do? It was mostly to support my family, which is, a big motivator for me. But, ever since college, I became more selfish. I want to take more time to myself. I want to do the things that I wanted to do. And like this podcast was one, and like when I did YouTube like a year ago, it was just to prove that like I can do this. I want to do the things that I wanted to do, and at least try it. Even if it's for a little bit, I want to do it for me. And, like you guys said, I want to, like Trisha said specifically, I want to make an impact on people's lives. And sure, I might not have a big impact on people because I don't have like a huge audience or following or whatever, but if I can make a positive difference in even a handful of people and people's lives, that's enough to get me going. It's enough to keep me going, keep me happy. So that's where my selfishness started beginning, is college, where most of my external stuff is when I was a kid, have a nice car, have some money, do the things I want to do. But I mean, who doesn't want to do that? I guess the super selfless people don't want to do that, but that's me. So, yeah.
For me, I would say, let's see, Neron said he was more recent. I'd say I was becoming more goal oriented back in high school, probably between junior and my senior year of high school, when I had to start thinking about college and stuff,
Mhm.
because my parents were really like overprotective of me. So they wanted me to do like whatever they wanted, and they thought like whatever they said was gonna be right. So I never really fought them up until that point. So I went to UCI. It's not that far from here, but I dormed over there for about 3.5 years. So that was like the first time I actually like fought my parents, and like I wanted to like live on my own for a bit. And like ever since then, like if it's something I wanted to do, like I told myself I'm gonna work for it, and I'm not gonna get help from my parents. I'm just gonna use the resources around me, and then
Mm.
I'll do what I can on my own. And like ever since then, if I want something, it's like everything's a small goal, so I'm gonna work towards it. It's not like I don't have like a lot of big goals, but my motivation just like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and I'll do it on my own.
Mm, I really like that because it's like I've known you since high school, so it's like it's I didn't see like a change, obviously since then. So I mean, it's interesting to hear that. So
I think probably one of the first big things that like spurred me on to this was we went to confirmation together, right, Neuron?
right.
Yeah, that was one of the first big things. Like I saw my friends were going to confirmation, and just like, oh, I'm like, oh, I like being part of the, doing the church activities too. So it's
Hmm.
like, I told my parents like, can I do this? And like,
Wait,
we are,
that was your choice. That wasn't your family's
yeah,
choice.
no, that was my
Really?
choice. Yeah, that was my choice.
That's it. Wow. See, for me, that wasn't my choice. That was my parents. It's like, hey, you're gonna go to confirmation. What? Yo, that's tight. That's how I met you, dude.
Like,
Oh, origin story.
yeah, it was either that or I was gonna get confirmed in like the Philippines or something.
Yo, all right, dude. Oh my God, I'm like low key, like subtly super excited because I'm just like, that's basically how we met, and like you did that, so that's tight. Cool, cool, cool. I mean, whenever you're ready, you can hand it off to John if you're done.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh man. So the question is when and where
Yep.
I began to find motivation. Uh, I mean, this is a pretty deep question for me because I I would say that, based on like what happened in my life,
Mhm.
especially when I was younger, it's it's been a long journey, I guess. Because I want to say like I mean when I was a kid, like I think everyone was at least a little bit naive as a child,
Mhm.
Of course.
and I think stuff happened along the way, and then I lost that naivety, and I also lost a bunch of other things like passion. I lost you know the will to continue living essentially. um and when you're in a very dark place like that, and it's hard to want to do anything.
Mhm.
And I think it wasn't until s- someone showed me the potential I had where I began to learn how to hope again. And, and I want to say I was around like after high school. So I want to say like 18, 19 is when I probably started to learn, you know, how to be motivated again. Because essentially before that, for for years upon years upon years, I had absolutely no motivation to do anything.
Right. Mhm.
So yeah, like I was, your typical delinquent, teenage boy, never wanted to do anything, failed classes, never showed up to classes, um, didn't see a lot of self-worth in me. So once it was shown to me that, I'm not just like at the time I saw myself as lower than like shit, right?
Okay.
But it wasn't until somebody showed me that I had the potential to be something like a diamond that I really began to set the bar higher for myself and began
Mm.
to get motivated by like through myself to reach that standard that someone told me I could achieve.
Damn. That's crazy. So I mean, so in your life, in your story, you do you think if that person didn't come into your life and give you that hope, what do you think you would have never found that motivation by chance? I mean, like this is all hypotheticals, of course, but I mean, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I could be more specific, I guess. It's fine. When I say person, it's actually multiple people along the way of my
Right.
life because this is a continuous journey. I
Right.
can't say I'm a diamond yet, and I
Mhm.
don't know if I ever will be because that's a high standard. essentially when I say diamond, I mean like the essentially the perfect person, right?
Okay.
And that goes a long way to be perfect, right? And that's like not achievable at all. But um, when I say person, it's like at the time when I was younger, it was my family. Right?
Mm.
Family showed me, and after that, it was like friends, and then people, my relationships, they come and go. And each time I've interacted with these people, and they showed me that I did have more value than I initially thought. It just boosted my motivation to become the person that they see me as.
Mm. I see. I see. That's so interesting. So it
Yeah,
wasn't like an external force that boosted your internal motivation.
I guess initially I could say, yeah, surprisingly, is despite what I said earlier about how I'm approaching things now,
Mm-hmm.
the initial trigger was external.
Right. Right. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Interesting. Kemp, did you have a question?
yeah, it's like those other stories where like people know you better than yourself. It's like
Yeah.
it's someone keeps like motivating you, you know. They keep showing you things that you're not sure about yourself.
Hmm.
I don't know, man. I was a pretty shitty person. I feel like those people were just being nice to me. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. That's all right. Anything else, Sean? That
Uh,
was your when and where?
yeah, well, what and where? I answered it,
Yeah,
right?
no, yeah, you answered it. You answered it. So, Trisha, what about you?
Um, yeah, yeah, I think I was about 16 years old, when I experienced something that was, I guess, like the first time that I experienced extreme injustice and feeling helpless and just feeling trapped and useless, I guess, and just very, very frustrated with life or the system, etc. And so I kind of pretty much exhausted my energy trying to be frustrated with the situation. Um, but I felt, I guess, that exact moment, I just told myself that it's no use to be frustrated right now, but from here on out, I'm gonna make sure that this doesn't happen to anyone else, and that I'm gonna live my life every day trying to change or better the system or trying to help people not be in the same place that I was. Um, actually, this is actually my answer for my college application essay for Berkeley.
Oh my
Now
God,
thinking about it.
your personal statement.
Yeah, like some they had a question. They had like probably three essay prompts or something,
Right.
and this is one of it. And I remember specifically like quoting MLK because he has this quote where it's like one has not only a legal but moral responsibility to obey just laws, but one also has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. And so that really resonated with me because I felt as though, I had a responsibility to be that person. Because if I don't, then it's just pretty much like a tragedy of the common situation where no one, everyone acts in their own selfish way, and but it's not for the collective good.
Mm.
But it's a lot harder to kind of steer away from that and act for the public good. I just told myself that, um, you know, if no one does, like, who's gonna do it? Like, if not someone like me, because I don't know, like if I don't do it, the next person doesn't do it, like no one does it. So I was just like, yeah, that's I guess when it first started.
Right. That's so basically it's like you wanted to go against the grain and like you knew that there was like a bystander effect, right? Like no one's gonna do it, so I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, pretty much. Because if everyone thought the same way as like, I don't want to do it, I'm just gonna do this, live my life like this, not care and just indulge in my own like personal goals, then we're not gonna progress as a society, and nothing is gonna change. Uh, But I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I have, like, I think what you mentioned earlier. Like, I have my personal goals. Like, I would
Mhm.
like to have my own house one day, and I would
Mhm.
like to have my own car. I can afford it.
Mhm.
It would be nice just to like not worry about paying rent or bills and being like paycheck to paycheck. Like
Mhm.
that is a personal goal, at least like to live comfortably in a way. But at the same time, I have like an overruling motivation or goal. Um, but yeah.
Interesting.
I think the cool thing is, I mean, like, there's like two common themes, at least between our answers. It's that one, uh, the shift in thought was caused by an external event, and two, it sounds like it's like we're both motivated by we have the same idea of setting ourselves to a higher standard. You know, maybe it's different in a
Mhm.
different way, I'm sure, but it's like you're when you said, if I'm not gonna do it, who is? Or if this person's not gonna do it, then I should do it because I know that that's what I should be doing. So you're setting yourself to that standard. So I just thought that was like, I was like, well, that's interesting train of thought.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I just like, I mean, for me growing up, I just never had the typical family scenario of having people to please or to make proud or to like listen to what they want me to be.
Mhm.
It was always just like, yeah, I honestly don't know where I've gotten it, but I mean, as a kid, I've always just been, I guess, maybe academically motivated for some reason. No one told me to get straight A's, and no one told me to get good grades, do this and study or whatever. Like, I think my family never cared, or didn't really care what I did at school. But I just kept doing that. But it was like when that event happened to me, that's when I started doing things for just something bigger than myself.
Nice. So nice. I mean, there's so many questions. I was like, I don't know where to start with, like, for all of you.
I have a
Wow, that's what you
question for that.
telling.
Yeah, what's
Sorry if
up?
I'm like
Go ahead,
I'm
dude.
just I'm really intrigued because our approaches are so different, and it and I think the biggest factor is that it sounds like your motivations are completely selfless, whereas mine are completely selfish.
I think
Um,
that's okay.
yeah, and that's
That's
fine.
totally fine. Like people are different.
Yeah. What the question I have, I know I don't know if it's we're gonna start getting too specific in this
No,
because I
go
know
ahead.
this
Go
is
ahead,
about
dude.
motivation and discipline, but and I guess it does kind of tie into discipline, right? Because motivation, I'm sure we all agree, it's temporary. It doesn't last too long, right?
I
So
agree.
what I'm wondering is, because the factors of your goals, it sounds like, are external, and something external is it's you can't control the outcome really. So how do you find the discipline to continue pushing forward with something that's so uncontrollable?
Oh
Um,
man.
the age. I don't consider myself as a person with discipline. I would even say I have zero discipline. Um, yeah, so for me, God, this is hard to answer, but I guess hard to
No, I
answer
don't
like
blame you.
in
This
a
is. I
way
think
where
this
I
is a
can
hard
make
question.
people understand like what I'm saying. Like it makes sense in my head, right? But I mean, so it's when something happens to you, like a personal experience, a traumatic experience, it changes you for life, right? I think we can all agree to that.
Okay.
Um, so I guess, for example, if someone experienced their dad or their mom dying from cancer at an early age, and they're devastated by it, and now they're motivated by this traumatic experience. And now this person decides to do pre med, go to med school, and be an oncologist, right? To treat and cure like cancer patients because it's from that experience, and they want to live their life with a purpose because they're changing something from their past
Mhm.
to I mean they're not changing their past, but because of that, like what happened to them in the past, they want to change it for the future. And I think that's what my motivation is. is that there are a lot of things that happened to me in the past that I want to make sure doesn't happen to anyone else in the future, or doesn't happen to me, or that I change the system so that it doesn't happen to anyone. Um, and that's my motivation, because it internally fulfills me, because I'm filling a void in my life that happened there by my future or current actions.
Mm.
Discipline, I have zero discipline. I'm very spontaneous, and I don't stick to diets. I don't stick to plans. I don't. Yeah, I'm really bad at discipline.
Wow, we
So
are completely different.
Yeah. So
This is
yeah, I'm sorry. If you don't mind, I'm gonna go
yeah.
because it's like I hear things from both of you. That's why it's like I want to be act like as a middle ground between for you guys and Kemp too. But for me, it's like I think the same way as Trisha in some of my thought processes where it's like you've gone through something in your life and you don't want people to go through the same things or feel those type of ways. And it's like for me, I have very similar um, feelings and emotions towards that because it's like in high school, middle school, high school, and a little bit of college. There's always been times where it's like I've had a rough time. I was going through a very emotionally uh, rough times, and whenever I saw, especially someone that was younger than me, in school, whether it was high school or college, and they were going through something similar, it's like, oh, they are struggling in a class and they're like mentally breaking down or something happened with them with like a relationship. Like I always wanted to be that person that they could rely on, not necessarily for the sake of, I did want to help them for the sake of them feeling better, but it also would help me internally because I could see I could see myself like a part of myself in them because it's like I don't know what the word is. I've seen myself in their shoes, right? I've been in their shoes, so it's like my motivation for those situations too is like externally is it that's why it's a mix of internal and external. It's like I see someone struggling, but it's been something that I've been through, and I always want to interject and try to be a positive influence in their life. So that's always been a motivation for me. It's like I've been through those times, and it's hard for me to see people go through that if I know I can take action. Just like Trisha said, if no one else is gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. But then there's always been times where my own personal, selfish goals have gotten in the way of that too. It's like, oh, I want to help
mhm.
you, but because of X reason, I can't. You know what I mean? So it's like I can't be, you know, a people pleaser because that's who I what I grew up as, but then as I became more selfish, I didn't want to become that. But then I always wanted to help people that are similar to me. But then because I couldn't help everybody, it was kind of a weird experience. So like it's just like I did flip flop back and forth as I grew up. But I mean, just to see both of your guys' sides of the coin, it's you know, it it's hard to put it into words because it's something that you just experience because that's where motivation mostly comes from though, right? Because it's just what you go through and what you experience in life. So I mean, yeah, John or Kemp, what do you guys have to think?
I feel like I'm the complete opposite of, because I find motivation hard to come by. I feel
Mm.
like I won't say I have zero motivation to do anything, but I want to say what's driving me for the most part, especially right now during these times, is discipline. It's my discipline to even if I, no matter how much I don't want to do something, no matter how much like I hate how it makes me feel, or like how I'm feeling that day, I'm going to do it no matter what, because that's the standard that I'm putting myself to.
Mm.
It's just completely different. It's hearing the explanations, and it's it's hard. I can kind of understand, because I think something external, when it's something external, right, an external goal,
Mhm.
you can better track the progress, I think, whereas something internal is a lot harder to track the progress. And when you have something like that, when you're always getting that whether it be visual or verbal, that kind of recognition, it's easy to continue fueling that motivation.
Mhm.
But when you don't have that and you can't track that progress, there's no way to actually physically measure,
Mm.
or keep track of how far you've gone, then I think that's when discipline becomes a bigger part of getting to your goal. I think
Mm.
that's what I've learned right now, at least from this discussion.
No, I see. I see what you mean. So it's like that branches off into like other topics that I mean, I don't know if you guys want to get into this where it's like discipline is also it's like following something that you like you said you might not be able to see and that I would say that, into the broader sense would relate to, faith, whether that's religious or not, and just continuing to do what you do because of what you believe in. Regard
Oh, okay.
so yeah, that's what I meant by faith. And it's like, you know, faith, like I said, like a religion. No one living would be able to say it's like, oh, I've met God or whatever deity, or
Mm.
the faith of like in another person. Like I have faith that this person is gonna do this, so I will do this action in response. You know what I mean? So there's that action or that side of the discipline side, whereas like it's the external and um a little bit of the external I would say is um being able to see the results, see um the seeds that you sown, see them grow and you seeing that as motivation where it's how do I put this into words? Basically, passion, in my opinion, because like a lot of people do passion for what they see, and I'm not saying there's people who have a lot of faith that aren't passionate, but I mean like passion in the sense that you're motivated to do what you want to do because you love it. Your motivation is like out of love, whereas that's how I see passion and faith is a little bit different. In this specific regard, where it's like passion, you do
You're teaching me
something.
so many things.
I mean, this is my own viewpoints because it's like you can have your
Yeah,
own, yeah,
but
because
it
it's
makes sense.
yeah, right. I mean, in my head,
Oh
anyways.
man,
So,
I
so
feel like what you're saying right now. I think it's interesting because when I saw the title of this, motivation versus like discipline, it was like, oh, we'd be talking about like the debating like differences and all that. But honestly, I feel like it's kind of cool. I feel like you have like a physical embodiment of both, where she's the motivation and I'm discipline, and we're just talking about like our approaches, like you know what I mean?
no, that's why I'm just like I know you guys have been like you guys work hard, but I didn't realize up until like this moment that you guys have like at your core are so very different. And that's why it's so interesting to me to like hear people's stories on how they do things because it's like you guys can do stuff out of love, out of passion, and out of motivation. And then the other side, where this is just how I see things, just to summarize it. Whereas discipline, you do things out of faith because you know things are gonna happen, going to uh things are going to happen, people are gonna do things, and whatever you do is out of I wouldn't say blind uh, blind external forces that you can't see, but you guys, you're just doing it to do it. So, I don't, it's hard for me to put the rest into words, but I mean that's how see it as of recently, as I've started to grow up and as like talking to more people, especially you guys. You guys have definitely opened my eyes a lot more talking in this podcast. So I mean,
It's been I'm learning about the motivation side of it now. It's pretty interesting. I realize I'm not a very passionate person after talking to you. Talking to you guys, yeah, I can't say I'm very passionate. I have a handful of things I'm passionate about, but it's like I think I can't say like the things I'm passionate about are maybe not as important as the things you guys are passionate about.
I mean
So
that's also like very subjective, right? That's just you. I mean,
Mm.
I can, I, what's the phrase? Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So I mean, like you can be passionate about something that I might not be passionate about, but I mean vice versa. Like I'll be passionate about something you don't even give a crap. You could give two two shits about, dude.
I don't know, man. I want to say being passionate enough about, the overall state of society. That's a pretty big. It's pretty big, I can't say I share that sentiment. I think it's a nice sentiment. I can't say I share it.
Hmm. I see. I mean, Kemp, what are your thoughts? I haven't heard you say much in a while.
I'm more on John's side where
Interesting.
I focus more on myself. So
Okay. Okay. Man, I mean, Trisha, what you said, because you said you're learning a lot. I mean, like, what is it?
Yeah,
What
I
does it
mean,
feel
just
like
me
hearing it
talking about it.
from your side, listening to John or us?
Is it like from my side?
Yeah, like
Um,
what have you like learned? Like, what have you heard differently from what you've experienced, either from us or just in your general experiences for people who have differing views from you?
well, I mean, just you guys obviously defining these words to its extent, which I never really think about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, don't. And so you defining faith versus passion and you breaking it down like this is what passion is and this is what faith is. I'm like, wow, it makes sense. Like I never thought about that, but it makes sense. Yeah, I think I have zero faith. Like I'm sorry guys. Like you guys are completely normal and good. I'm just the weird one on this podcast
No,
call.
no, no,
I
no,
think I'm
no.
just twisted, and you're a very wholesome
Like
person.
I am not religious at all.
No,
I didn't
I don't.
even know what you guys were talking about in terms of confirmation. So,
I,
but
I think what he meant by faith is just with no proof, you'll do it anyway.
Yeah, it's like it's just a belief, whether it's religious or
mm,
not, that something's gonna work out the way that you think it's gonna work out. I mean that's just
so like
faith.
optimism.
Sure,
Uh,
it's not necessarily optimism. It's just like it's just gonna happen. It's
mm,
that's it's just gonna happen. It's like
yeah,
one
maybe
way
like
Ah,
or
gotcha,
another.
gotcha, gotcha.
yeah, maybe like blind optimism. Sure.
Yeah, there you go.
Got
Blind
it, got it.
optimism. That's better worded. Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, still zero faith. Sorry, but yeah, I don't know. For me, this is a completely no offense, guys. Like, if I say something that offends you, um,
Offend me, do it.
just because it's like me. I think it's stupid to be blindly optimistic. And I'm
I
sorry if I'm
agree.
offending you. Then that's just me, right? People are different.
No,
People
yeah,
live
go
their
ahead.
lives
No, that's
differently.
fine.
Um,
You're good.
I'm just like I like to be proactive with my life, my actions, my goals, etc. And um, like I said, if no one's gonna do it, I have to do it. And the thing is like God's not gonna do it because I don't believe in God or any God, so I have to do it. And so for
I like the
something
way
to
you think.
happen, it's because I do it, not because some did it or destiny or
Mm.
freaking Odin, Zeus, God, whatever.
Right, right.
Yeah. So I just like to I like to take responsibility and accountability on actions and the results of it, whether they're negative. I have to take the repercussions of it, and it's like this happened because it's my fault. I made it happen.
Right,
Like I don't
right.
like blaming external factors, whether it's positive or negative. Like I won the lottery because God wanted me to, or got into
Mm.
a car accident because I have bad karma. I don't want to think about it in that sense. I want to think about it because like it's my fault or like this XYZ happened. Um, yeah, and passion thing. Yeah, I like to do things because I love doing them.
Mm.
You know.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, I would actually completely disagree with the statement that discipline means being like holistically, blindly optimistic, because I'm sure you near
I
on
didn't say
more than.
discipline. I meant faith.
Oh yeah, or faith. Well, we said like
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
have
yeah, yeah. But that's
discipline
just
is
a
to
just
have faith.
right, right. But that was just me putting things into words and as an
Yeah,
example. But yeah, go ahead, go
I am not optimistic at all.
ahead.
I am the most realistic person I know. So I I think the example I was trying to think of examples eh, like one where it's like it's easier to, I think, be disciplined because it's more easy to track. I thought about your statement earlier about like diets. and not being able to, keep it up. Um, I do think it's not faith that drives, like, let's say, like, someone goes on a diet because they want to lose weight, right? Or they want to, or if more specific, let's say they're a bodybuilder, they need to get on like a certain calorie deficit, or eat more, but they have to maintain their macros in a certain way so that they have to track it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, if you have, like, depending on your fitness goal, you can go from like, oh, I'm just gonna run, to I'm gonna work out in the gym for 2-3 hours, and
Right.
I think depending on the difficulty, and I think this is where discipline comes in, very, very much so. The higher the scaling of the difficulty, the more discipline is required.
I like
It's
that.
because if it was easy, everyone would do it, right? If it was that easy to get a six pack and to be super buff and super swole, and like, you could just do it within like 2 days, and then there's like no work required, there would be no discipline involved. Like, everyone would be super buff and walking around. But
Right.
like, the amount of obesity in this country, it's not easy, right? But that's when discipline comes in. It's like, and it's hard, right? Because it's psychological too. Because, like, let's say when you're on a cut, right, and
Mm-hmm.
you're on that calorie diet, right? Even your brain psychologically is telling you, hey, your body is weakened. You need to eat something, and you have to be able to be so determined that you'll reach your goal, that you can even tell yourself that you're not going to eat it, even though you're hungry.
Right.
That you can turn down whatever is in front of you, because you believe that in the end, that ice cream or whatever is not worth you not being able to reach that goal of you getting that six pack or whatever, you
Right.
know? And that's still easily trackable. Like, I think one goal that I have, like I said, is, like, I want to be the best person that I can be in every way, right? That's how do you even track that, right? How, like, there's no way. But I guess in that sense, that's when more, I guess, faith in myself is required, right? That I
Mm.
believe that I am capable of being that person, that perfect person, that very selfless, very warm, very, like, like, just the ideal, like, perfect person. Like,
Right. Right.
and that's where the discipline comes in, because it's really easy to be an asshole, right? Like Trisha said earlier, people, like, it's not easy to do, those good
Mm.
things for society. It's not easy, so people choose to be selfish because that's the easy way to go.
Right. Uh, so there's, we talked about like the blind optimism and the discipline about there about like faith and like doing it blindly. But then you bring up a good point where it's like there's like when there's science, there's data, there's numbers behind it. There's also that route, right? Because it's like if I do this, there's my numbers and my chances of being able to reach my goal like increased, right? So there's also that side
Right.
of being disciplined. It's like this is going to work. Like
Yeah.
like statistically, scientifically, this is going to work. So I mean, there's that side too. So I mean, that's a very good point to bring up. But as a quick pause in the topic, Trisha, I don't know if you still had to get off the podcast early. It's a time check. It's a little past
Oh,
9.
it's okay. I rescheduled tomorrow. No
Oh,
problem.
oh, okay, cool.
Good.
Oh, awesome, great, cool. So yeah, I mean, going back to that topic, I mean, for just to relate it to your topic, John, of like being fit. I mean, I've lost almost 40 pounds in the past year and a half.
Dude, good on you, man. That's
That's
hard. That's
Yeah,
great.
hard. You're doing a great job.
thank you, man. But it's like as an example, as a story for my own journey, it's I my motivation initially was I don't feel good about myself. I don't look good. I feel like I want to be a better version of myself. And then,
Bang bang.
yeah, exactly, right? And then, even before I started going to the gym, like, I started eating less and I lost a couple pounds, which is cool, which is all right. But then I would say literally about a year ago, at the beginning of April 2019, I started going to the gym regularly 3 times a week. Um, and obviously, the first 2, 3, 4 weeks, the first month was so bad. it was, my body hasn't been used to exercise, and that shit was difficult. I would wake up sore because my body wasn't used to the exercise. But my motivation was like, all right, I'm still gonna go. Like, I'm gonna stick to this routine. I'm gonna stick to this schedule, my regimen or whatever. Um, and then, my motivation kept me going for the first month. It's like I'm sore, but I'm still gonna go because that's what I should be doing. I want to be a better version of myself. But then, a couple months down the line, there would be days where I didn't feel as good. I don't want to go. Like you said, I would rather stay at home and just take a nap and like eat a dessert, eat something sweet. But I told myself, nah, dude, it's Wednesday. It's gym day. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I don't want to go, but I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do it. So I mean, like a year has passed and there you go. Like I've lost, another 20, 25, 30 pounds from exercise and a little bit more healthy dieting. Like I didn't change my diet. Sure, I got to eat the things that I still wanted to eat. I just ate slightly less of it. But I think for me, motivation and discipline is my biggest personal example is just this past year of me going to the gym 3 times a week or exercising 3 times a week. Even now in quarantine, I still do it, and it's so hard for me not to see myself working out now, um, on a regular basis. And it's just it where you said it's not just discipline because, or I mean, it is discipline, but it's also become more of a lifestyle for me, um, where, like I said, regardless of what path you take, whether it's passion, love, discipline, faith, or whatever, science, it's just, I think once it's ingrained in you, regardless of whatever path you take, I think it'll become a part of you. Um, and you always want to strive to your goals regardless of what path you take. And I mean that's my biggest takeaway from myself from just hearing you guys. So
Yeah, I'd
that
agree. I think whatever you
yeah,
do, like whatever action or goal you set for yourself, I think that dis discipline in general is a lifestyle. I can't exactly say motivation is a lifestyle because, like I said, from my perspective, it's
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 hard to come
fleeting,
by,
it's
right?
temporary. Yeah, it
Mm.
lasts not long.
That's so weird. Why is mine opposite?
No, go ahead.
Really?
Go ahead. Go. I want to
I
hear
Okay,
it.
I
I'm so
find like
interested to hear this.
I find like discipline for me is kind of on and off. Like there are days when I have discipline and there are days when I don't, but motivation is always a constant for me,
Okay.
which is weird. So I have zero completely negative discipline at the moment as I'm shoving like 3 cookies in my mouth. Um, so good job for your diet because this is not going well for me. But yeah, I don't really know how else to explain it. It's just opposite for me.
Where it's like just you just have the motivation to keep you going. It's not necessarily like a finite pool for you. It doesn't
Mm.
run out too quickly compared to others, you would say?
Yeah, I would think so. I think someone mentioned something earlier about they like um discipline or they like certain things because it's something that you could count or
Mhm.
measure in
Mhm.
some way. Um yeah, so for me like I don't get some kind of gratification from like measurements or
Mhm.
statistics or counting stuff,
Okay.
something that I can measure. I just don't know if this is weird to explain, but I just have some kind of motivation every day, but I don't have discipline.
Wouldn't you say that in a way, because at least the way I'm interpreting your statement, I feel like that is kind of being optimistic.
Yes.
Uh, there's a difference. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little difference of optimism.
Yeah, it's
Have
not
you guys?
completely optimism, but in a sense, in a way, it is kind of optimism.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah, no, I'm an
right,
optimistic person.
but
Uh,
Um,
it's just something you don't know what it is. Sometimes you just know something's pushing you. It's not even just like yourself, or
yeah,
it's like you're right. That's interesting. See, so it's
this is
like
definitely interesting.
that that is so interesting because that's like for both of you guys are so like I'm hearing two sides of the spectrum, and I've been like in the middle, and I'm just like, fuck, this is so good.
Yeah, I'm that I don't share that mindset at all. It's interesting. It's really intriguing.
Sounds to me that Trisha just has faith in herself, kind of thing.
I
Wow,
have
that's
faith in
deep.
myself. I don't think that.
So deep.
Yeah, it's more. I just think it's temporary, right? Like I'll just keep using fitness as example because it's so easy to use. Sorry,
Right.
I'm doing the easy way
No,
out. I hate
not
doing that.
fitness because that's where I suck at the most.
Well, like like let's say like I go into the gym after like a rest day
Okay.
and I lift the weight and my numbers increase, right? And I'm like, damn, I got stronger. Boom, motivation boost. Like, yo, my work is working. I'm gonna even push even harder today, And then I
Right.
look in the mirror and I see that I'm getting cut, and everything. And it's like another motivation boost. Like, Sarah, it's like I see. I guess you and tell me if you see this differently because I'm very interested in hearing this. Motivation for me is like a dopamine hit. It's like a
Mm.
burst of that kind of optimism, where it's like boom, and I'm like, oh man, like I can take over the world right now. Like everything I'm doing right now, all the work I've put in at this moment, it's working. Wow, and then I get like this boost and it's like crazy, and then it's gone. And then it's like,
Okay,
well,
well, gotcha. I get the difference now. Who said? Someone said earlier. Sometimes I don't know who's talking. But someone said that I have faith in myself.
Kemp. That was
mhm.
Kemp. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Didn't realize that, but thank you. So this is from what I'm seeing is that because you need, like what you said, when you go to a gym, you have in terms of having discipline, and it keeps pushing you further when you see that you got stronger, right?
Yeah, all right.
I feel like you rely on like continuing your discipline through external factors of like something that you can measure. Like I can run faster today. I don't know, lift more weight today, or I got a better grade today, right? Like something that you can measure
Mm-hmm.
in order to believe in your. Um, I mean, I may be wrong. This is just like me talking, right?
Just keep.
Um, but I guess for me, like, never really needed a certain number or measurement or whatever it is, um, to give myself my own self motivation. And this is me saying because I've never realized this myself. So I'm just like looking back at my life and just things I've done or what kept me motivated. And I guess it's just for some freaking reason I've always just had some sort of internal motivation um to keep going. Like yeah.
No,
But I know some people that
right.
like I don't get a like extreme gratification over certain by failures. So I'm kind of just like in the middle that I just keep my like I'm in a stable motivation every day.
Mm.
Like, I don't get like dopamine hits from accomplishing something, losing 10 pounds today or like getting an A+ on my paper. Like for me, I don't need those things to prove to myself that I can have motivation. I just I like to have motivation and I like to do things that I do. I don't like being forced to do something that I don't like to do. This is why I
Right.
don't have discipline. Just I don't like rules. I don't like structure. So I like those
Wow.
things.
That's
Wait,
Yeah.
crazy.
you are like, wow, you're like the complete opposite of me. Holy crap. This is
This is
insane.
crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I don't like rules, I don't like structure. I'm like, dude,
Like
I love rules,
guys,
I love structure.
I hate rules. Like I hate when cooking, like there's a recipe, I never follow it. I just kind of
Oh
like do
my
whatever.
god, dude.
I know, right? Like
That's
I hate
oh
something
shit.
or someone telling me what I should be doing. Now this doesn't go to say like, of course, there's like certain laws like freaking murder is illegal. I don't want to murder people, so I guess that's like I don't need to be told to not murder people. Like it's like I don't do it because I don't like
Right, cause
killing people.
right. So you guys both have your own like moral compasses, right? It's like
Yeah,
there
that's
you
the
go.
word.
So I
I
mean,
actually have
yeah.
a question.
yeah,
This is a question I've actually been asking a lot of people.
sure.
Uh, this is like one of the ways I've been trying to learn how to improve myself.
Okay.
And I actually I want her to answer this because I feel like she'd have an answer that I wouldn't ever think of. Um,
Don't get your hopes up.
no, 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 because I think you would, or at least I have a feeling. So I'm just curious, what is your definition of self-validation and self-value, and how do you find that yourself?
Oh shit.
Oh, this is such a pageant question. I don't know the answer to.
Oh, I thought you were a
Oh,
pageant
that's
expert.
exactly right. Do you see why I said don't get your hopes up?
Well, like I guess just simplify the question. How do you how do you validate yourself?
Mm,
Because it sounds like you're saying like, oh, I don't need these external things to validate me because I have that validation already. So how do you do
mm.
it?
It's gonna sound like a very cheesy, probably simple, like answer, imaginary answer.
Go ahead.
Um,
Just answer it
but
however you feel.
um, I have had a really shitty mom. Just very completely opposite of a normal, loving, caring Filipino mom, I guess. But because of that experience, I've made it my goal to one day make sure um, that I won't be the same and I won't continue down the same path as her, and that I will be someone that my future kids will be proud of, like someone that they would look up to or be proud of in some way, whatever it is. This anything, I mean, it's a very low standard because my mom was shitty, but still. Um, so I can't really call it like, I mean, it's sort of external, but not really because they don't exist yet. Um, but yeah, it's like an imaginary validation that I've told myself that if I have this sort of motivation every day to be this person that I want to be for my future kids,
Mm-hmm.
like not a shitty person. And if that means like, leaving some kind of impact on the world, on a person, on a group, on a community, that will make them proud, then I like doing that. Then that's what I'm going to do.
That's crazy. I think I just figured it out right now. I think I understand the source of your motivation. It's the passion.
Uh,
That's crazy. Because
wait,
that was a very
it's the what?
passionate answer. You're a very
Oh,
passionate
it's a
person when it comes to your goals. I am not passionate about my goals. I just believe I should be set to a high standard. That's crazy. The puzzle has been solved, everyone. You can go home.
Your puzzle's been solved. But I have a couple more questions for you guys. So, um, I have a question that I just got submitted, or I got asked in a DM. And obviously this is different between person to person, especially because obviously your backstories are different. But for motivation and discipline, especially for internal and external, right? And this I think this relates to a little bit to your self validations and self value question as well. Um, what um, how has staying motivated or being disciplined changed when like having gained a support system or having lost a support system? Let's like when like big events in your lives that has changed you and your motivation if there's anything. Because for example, the friend that messaged me, it's like, oh, I'm still going through classes, but um I lost a big support group along the way. There was like a fallout between friends, or let's say my motivation was family, and for whatever reason, let's say someone passed away. I'm just like these are just scenarios, but what do you guys thoughts are about having or not having a support system for motivation or discipline? I mean, Kemp, you want to go first?
I mean, if it might sound like an asshole, but if you lost one, I think either you buck up and you find another one, or you make yourself your own support system.
I mean, that's not. It's not necessarily an asshole answer. I mean, like, people can answer however they want,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, and
No,
I
I mean,
respect that. I really do respect that. I
yeah, I
mean,
mean, yeah, I mean, in the end, I mean, you're gonna make what's gonna happen around you. So
right, right. So there you go. Um, right. I guess we're gonna go over John. What about you? Having or not having support system for these situations?
I think at least when it comes to discipline, I think those two things are irrelevant because external factors shouldn't play a part in discipline. But, you know, the perfect person would be able to do that, right? As a human being, you can't be disciplined 100% of the time. That's impossible. So I guess if something is big enough to affect the way you go about your life and it makes you less disciplined, I think that really just it takes like a reset, like a mind reset. Like, hey, like what I'm doing right now isn't what I know I could be doing. I know I could be doing better. And
Mm,
regardless of whatever happened, it shouldn't change my level, like
right.
who and what I'm able to do, what I'm capable of. So I'm gonna push forward.
Okay. What about you, Trisha?
So basically, you're asking, how does discipline or motivation differ if you have a support system versus when you don't?
Yeah. Or like if there's yeah, basically.
Got it. Got it. Well, I'm sure you guys probably already know my answer that I don't rely on a support system to make me motivated or not motivated. I mean, if they're there, then that's great, amazing. I would love that all the time. But there has been certain moments in my life where I had zero support system, and I was very much alone by myself, just like out to fend for myself in this world. But if I didn't have the motivation that I did, um, then I wouldn't have gotten out of that situation on like the other side, being good and not resorting to doing bad things or whatever, just fighting for myself and my future. I don't, I mean, it definitely is hard. I'm not saying that it doesn't affect me emotionally.
Mhm.
It's hard to not have a support system, but it really does take that spark within you, to keep going, even if no one is telling you to, even if no one is reaching out their hands to help you and to pull you to wherever you need to go. I think that's really important to have because not everyone gets the chance to have a good support system in their lives, but that doesn't mean they don't deserve to, have opportunities,
Mm,
driving them with their motivation or discipline, whatever it is.
right.
Yeah, it just, it's a lot of factors, both like, but that's just on my end.
No, I get you. I get you. So, just to play, the median here, like I said, I'm hearing similar past experience from like both you guys or everyone here, and just like, there's some things I obviously have differences with, but just like another personal story of mine is a support system for me is both motivation and discipline. Because like I said, I've always been, I wouldn't say always, but I've usually been like an emotionally driven person. And for me,
Mhm.
having that support system, depending on my emotion, has either been my motivation or they've been my discipline. So the reason why I say that is because it's like motivation. Like I want it, like you guys, like you on Trisha's side. Like I want to see my friends do well. I want to see people be happy. I want to see people succeed, and seeing them happy
Mm-hmm.
makes me happy. And on the other side of the coin, I was like, I want to be happy too, and like I don't want to rely on people's happiness to be that. And like there are times it's like my friends want to see me happy, and like when I'm not doing so well, they'll they'll give me lectures, they'll give me talks, they'll discipline me, or like they'll keep me disciplined to a point where it's like, all right, I'm gonna get back up on my own feet. I'm a I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna keep going on that grind. So I mean, that's why I'm very thankful to have a support system of people that I care about and that I love. And on the flip side of that, not having support system in my case has been especially hard for me because I wouldn't say always, but often enough I've been lucky enough to have people like that in my life, but that's why I think it also just depends on how I grew up. Where it's like I've always had people around me to either motivate me or discipline me to keep moving forward. Or it's say, Trisha, the difference in yours, it's like, you grew up differently where it's like, I'm gonna do it because no one else is gonna do it, right? That's where
Mm-hmm.
I contrast with you, but I still have that factor of like I still want to make a positive impact on
Mm-hmm.
people. So I mean, it's that's why it's like I can relate to everybody here in like small factors where it's like I definitely agree with everyone, just a little bit or a lot of bit depending on what you guys say or think. But I mean, that's just how I see it as more of the holistic kind of thing where a support system is definitely a plus if you're with the right people. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
if you're definitely self motivated, um, and you're still willing to work your goals and take those opportunities with with the resources that you do have, I mean, a support system technically speaking isn't necessary. But you know, that's just my opinion on that. So I mean, looking at the time, it's almost 9:30. So with that being said, man, this was a great talk. I feel like we could honestly go on for like another hour, but I obviously don't want to keep you guys for too long, and you guys might have your own stuff. So in the last couple minutes or so, um, open floor to you guys. If there's any like last minute lightning round questions that you want to ask, or things you just want to say, um, open floor. I'm not gonna go in any order. If I don't hear talking for like 10 seconds, then obviously that's my cue to take the reins back from the show. So go ahead, anybody. Open floor.
Question for John.
Sure.
What is your perfect version of yourself? That's not a lightning round, but
It's not
that's
even.
what I've been interested in this whole time.
See, and this is why I think when I said earlier, because like, you know how Trisha was like, "Oh, um, I want to benefit the world," and then and consequently, at least from what I see, by doing that, you become a better person. I think it's like the same kind of thing where once I become that perfect, ideal human being, that as a result, that person is capable of affecting the people around him and changing the world. I like the perfect person. That's like a journey I'm still on, trying to figure out what that is, and at the same time applying it. But I think someone who's like admirable, someone who's selfless, someone who works hard, someone who is remembered, someone like all the things that I think to make it simple, like kind of broad, but at the same time answers the question. The perfect person, in my opinion, is at the end of the day someone who, at their funeral, nobody has anything bad to say about them.
Hmm.
That's fair.
That's
I asked that because I mean, listening to the whole conversation, I think me and John think pretty similarly. But the one thing I don't think is that I don't think in absolutes. So I don't think there's like perfect people. I don't think something's
Mm-hmm.
never gonna happen. Stuff like
Uh,
that is
Dude,
what I don't like. I don't believe in those kind of things.
I am the same
Oh, that's
exact way.
true.
I am the same
Yay,
exact.
we all agree on one thing.
Yeah, but that does not mean that I'm
All
going to be.
accomplished.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stop. You know, like just
Right.
because like I know for a fact I'm never going to reach that goal. That I'm never gonna be the perfect person because that's impossible. But that's still a standard I strive to go for because I
Right.
believe that if I work hard enough, I'm going to get there.
Nice.
Oh,
That's
you
fair.
can believe in being the almost perfect person.
Yeah, you know, I'm
There you
believing
go.
by believing that I can become the perfect person, I can get as close to it as possible.
Fair.
It's like
I'll
aiming
respect that.
for an
I
A
respect
plus
that too.
and getting an A minus.
Yeah, you know, like hey,
Yeah,
hey,
got
close
it.
enough.
It's like that.
Kind of, you know, like I'm kind of, I guess. But yeah, that's really like it's hard to say, and maybe in 40, 50 years I'll have a better answer, you know. But right now it's just I'm still searching, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the journey, and it's a
Yeah.
fun journey,
Yeah. We're still
and
young.
it's great.
You have a lot of time.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully I have a lot of time.
Uh,
Right.
Man, I had a question, I forgot it now.
sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh, but can I just say like one last thing?
Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead. Open floor.
The whole like funeral thing, I get it. Like I get the concept. I, in terms of saying like this is just from what I've learned in the recent year, just this past year. Um uh no matter how perfect you are or how good of a person you are, I think that someone can always say, even inside their heads, something bad at your funeral because like what you guys said, there's no perfect person, um, and it's never just gonna be like you can't please everyone kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you should base the idea of a perfect person on like at your funeral, no one can say something bad, um, because it's never gonna happen. Like I say this with like 100% confidence for everyone.
No,
Like even if you're freaking like Gandhi, like you
I
can't
agree.
control what people think or say, no matter how good you are to them.
Yeah, I agree. But just the
Yeah,
concept and the idea of the perfect person, like just the concept, like you know, that perfect
yeah.
person would
I'm
not have
actually
anyone.
I used to go by that saying, so I'm telling you. I
Oh
used to
yeah,
go by that saying that I want to strive to be the person that if someone brings up my name, no one can say anything bad about her, about me. And I used to believe that way and I used to live my life in that way until like I realized that not everyone is good and you don't have to please everyone and you can't satisfy everyone no matter if you give them like everything.
yeah. No,
Right.
I agree.
So just
It
that's just a Trisha my personal lesson. I don't want you to go down like the bad route.
No,
Right.
it's weird. I know what you're saying, and I've already thought that before. It's more like I know, and I know it's an unrealistic expectation, and it's an unrealistic goal. But because it's unrealistic,
Hmm.
it
Right.
drives me even more to try to go for it. Is that like you get what I'm saying? Is that weird?
I don't think it's weird.
That is
No, not really.
definitely one form of motivation.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like
In a way, yeah, in a way, but
It's
it's easy to just give up. And
yeah.
that's where the discipline comes in because it's such an impossible goal, it's easy to give up.
Yeah, dude. Freaking anime pro tag up in here. I'm hearing Goku. I want to be the strongest. I don't know what the strongest is. I'm gonna get there.
Yeah,
I'm
kind
gonna
of,
fight
dude. That's why
everybody
I
to
love those
prove.
kind of animes, dude. That's why Midoriya, dude, is I love that kid because he works hard
Yeah,
to
dude.
get where he wants to be.
Time skip, right? You're all about the time skip, the growth,
I'm all
right?
about the
You're all
time
about the
skip, dude.
time
Get me
skip.
out of
I
this
know.
quarantine. I'm ready to show the world the fruits of my labor during this period of time, man. I've
Damn
been
right.
working.
Damn right. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, dude, you're on, man. I told you, I I've I've been cutting this whole time, dude. I'm at like 14% body fat now, dude. I'm aiming for 12 to 13, dude. It's only gonna take me a month more, a month and a half.
Let's go.
Let's
Can
go.
we like can we not talk about this anymore? Right now. I'm gonna keep going, guys.
Okay,
It's
all
been
right.
pretty bad.
No
So
worries.
No, you're good.
maybe this is my source of motivation for tomorrow. But thank you.
I mean, if
Thanks,
you think
guys.
about it, like, I mean, like, because your goals, it doesn't really matter. Like, fitness isn't as important, compared to like making the world a better place. It's such a small goal, so I can see why it's so like
The
it's so
world a better
negligible.
place if I'm like 300 pounds and can't move.
Yeah,
My goal is to just not be obese. I can't move and do anything.
and that's a great goal. That's a great goal.
It's such a, like I'm
Same.
gonna get a C plus.
Yeah, like I'm trying to go for the A. You're good. At the end of the day, we both pass.
And C's get degrees too.
C's get degrees.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, you got two Berkeley people up in here, so it's
Oh,
like,
C's get degrees at Berkeley.
uh,
Don't put me on that pedestal. Don't ever put me on that pedestal. Don't. You put her on that pedestal, not me. Not me.
I don't know, that's kind of crazy. I think it sounds like everyone's achieved many goals in here and having even more to go for. Some ambitious, but that's great too, because that means I think like and my goal is also ambitious, but that just makes it even more like you want it more the more ambitious it is, I think.
Okay, so I just got word Trisha's laptop just died.
Oh, nice.
Hold on, let me just ask her.
It's still on Discord, but yeah.
But yeah, Kemp, that's cool. I didn't know that we shared those kind of ideologies, man. That's really cool. I've learned that about you today, man. Nah.
I mean, I'm more quiet about it, but I appreciate it when someone's actually more vocal about it.
Oh, dude. I like that about you, man. It's a
Yeah.
new trait, new thing I've learned I like about you.
Oh, thanks. I'll feed you more next time we go to Korean barbecue.
Oh, no, I can't do Korean barbecue, man.
Wait, hold on, timeout. No one can do Korean barbecue.
I know, but even
Oh,
after
wow.
all this, dude, I'm unfortunately, unless it's like winter and I'm ready to bulk again, man, like, can't do Korean
I'll give
barbecue.
you the leanest meat ever. None of that fat.
Yeah, but while she's not here, let's talk about fitness.
All right, so yeah, because Trisha's laptop died, she's just messaging me right now on her phone. Um,
It's fine. We're about to wrap up.
yeah, we're gonna wrap it up anyways. So, with that, you guys, any final thoughts?
It is an interesting podcast.
Happy quarantine.
Neon, you have a lot of interesting friends from Berkeley. Is what I've been listening to every week.
Hey, I mean, I think, like I said, I'm just lucky to have to be able to meet some of these people,
Yeah.
and just consider them friends, and if not friends, at least acquaintances to have them at least on the podcast. So, yeah. What about you, John? Anything else? Any final thoughts from you?
Happy quarantine.
Happy quarantine. That's a new one. That's a new one. All right, and from Trisha, looks like she doesn't have much else to say. She feels like she's said a lot already today, which I don't think she said a lot. I think she said whatever she needed or wanted to say, and I think this was a good podcast for me, anyways. Now I'm speaking for myself, not for Trisha. But she says thanks for a good conversation. So there you go. That's from Trisha. Um, and probably this isn't the platform that she would probably want to promote or anything, but check out her app, Queenly, if you want to buy any evening gowns and dresses at a good price that are resold and from very high designer um, designers, clothing, fashion designers. So check her out, Queenly. Queenly. That's how you spell it. Queen Ly. You look it up on the App Store. There you go. And yeah, and to end on a good note, and if not to end on a good note, to end on a note, like I said, thank you guys for being on the podcast. Trisha, I know you're not here, but if you're watching this closing out on YouTube or on Facebook or whatever, thank you for tuning in. Everyone in the audience for your questions. Maybe this is a good question for people to stay motivated, to be disciplined, and you know, how we're all different in our own ways and we grew up. So maybe I'll continue this topic on a different episode. Maybe some different guests. We'll see. Like I said, this was a very deep topic, very, uh, very enlightening conversations. This is probably the most uh enlightening podcast that I've had to date, if I'd had to say so. So this far. So
It's
thank you.
definitely up there.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. So thank you guys once again. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. I'll be uploading the rest of the episodes soon. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope to see you guys soon. If you guys want to be on a podcast, let me know.
Can I say something?
Oh yeah, go ahead, man.
Tune in next time where we debate which one's better, putting in cereal first, then milk, or milk and then cereal.
We're gonna be on the controversial Orca Ninjas podcast. That's next week's episode, guys, and hope you tune in for that one. With that said, thank you guys, and we out.
Later.